All right, let's just jump right in. For decades, the whole business sales pitch has been this long, drawn out process of, well, education. You sit through these long meetings, you get these dense presentations, all just to convince a client that your way is the right way. But what if you could just skip all that? Today, we're talking about a massive shift, a fundamental change where showing what you can do in real time is making that old school sales pitch totally obsolete. And this is really where it all begins. I mean, this quote from a retail CMO, it just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures this huge frustration that so many people feel. It points right to the heart of the problem with the old way of doing things. There's this giant gap between what you're promised and what you can actually prove. And this frustration, it actually has a name. It's called the education barrier. It's that first big hurdle consultants always have to clear, where the client just has no way of knowing if a project is going to be any good until it's already done. And look, that's not the client's fault. It's a problem with the system itself, one that creates this fundamental gap in trust right from the start. Think about it like this. Imagine buying a brand new car, but you're told you can't actually test drive it until after you've paid for it and owned it for 2 months. It sounds crazy, right? But that's pretty much the traditional consulting model in a nutshell. And that delay, that total lack of transparency, it stalls projects and it can kill a deal before it ever gets off the ground. But here's the thing, technology is forcing a huge shift. We are moving away from a world of theory and trust me promises to one of immediate, tangible proof. It's such a simple idea, but it's absolutely revolutionary. Just stop telling me how great it's going to be and show me that it works, right here, right now. And here you can see that difference in action. On one side, you've got the old education model. We're talking long timelines, high costs, and trust built on, well, a handshake and a promise. But on the other side, that's the demonstration model. Instant results, data you can actually check, and trust built on solid proof. It's the difference between a consultant saying, trust us, and saying, go ahead, verify it yourself. So let's go back to our skeptical CMO. Instead of arguing or sending yet another slide deck, the consultant just opened up an AI research platform and said, look, let me just show you what we can deliver in the next 20 minutes. And that's the moment the entire feeling in that room completely changed. So here's how it worked in 4 incredibly fast steps. First, the consultant types in the CMO's actual business question. Then, boom, the AI generates customer personas that are grounded in real-world data. Next, it instantly conducts over 100 deep dive interviews, all at the same time. And finally, it delivers a full analysis. And this is all happening live, right there in the meeting. It's pretty wild. Of course, the first thing any smart client is going to ask is this one, right? How do I know the research you're about to run is even the right research for me? This is that classic education barrier we talked about, that uncertainty about what's actually going to happen that can just kill all the momentum. Well, the answer is a feature called Plan Mode. In just a few seconds, it generates a complete research plan. It shows the CMO the exact customer segments they're going to study and the specific questions they're going to be asked. There are no more guessing games. The client sees the whole blueprint, clicks approve, and the research kicks off. And the impact of that is just immediate. I mean, this quote from a consultant says it all. The whole conversation just flips on its head. It's no longer about the consultant trying to convince the client to buy in. It's about the client seeing the path forward so clearly that they're just ready to go. That's the power of upfront clarity. Okay, so the plan is approved. Things are moving. But then you hit the next critical point of skepticism. The client sees these incredibly detailed customer personas and they're thinking, wow, this is amazing, but is it real or is this just some clever algorithm inventing people that sound plausible? This is where another feature, the Scout Agent, comes in, and it's pretty brilliant. To prove the personas are legit, it scans public discussions on places like Reddit, TikTok, and Instagram, looking for real people talking about the problem. It pulls out real quotes and real behaviors, grounding every single persona in authentic, verifiable data that you can actually see. And in our story with the CMO, this was an absolute game-changing moment. She questioned how real one of the personas was, so the consultant instantly pulled up over 50 real social media posts from working mothers complaining about the exact same checkout frustrations. You don't have to defend your methodology when the proof is right there on the screen. The data just speaks for itself. So, okay, the personas are grounded in real data. Check. But the really savvy client, the one who's seen it all, they're going to ask the next level question. is this just a bunch of quotes stitched together? Or is this a truly consistent, behaviorally realistic simulation of an actual person? And the crucial point here is that these aren't just profiles with demographics. They're actual behavioral simulations. Each AI persona is built to maintain about 85% human-like consistency in how it thinks and responds. They have realistic preferences, like a busy mom who will literally abandon her online cart if there are more than 3 people ahead of her in line. And they even have verifiable triggers that would make them switch brands. And this all leads to the ultimate moment of proof. The consultant didn't just show the CMO a report about a persona named Jessica. No, they let the CMO interview her directly. She could type in her own follow-up questions and watch the AI persona respond in real time, checking its consistency for herself. And that's the moment she went from being skeptical to being completely sold. So what does this all really add up to? Well, this shift from explaining to demonstrating, it creates a completely new reality for market research. The numbers are so different. It's like we're not just doing math anymore. We're doing a whole new kind of math. Just look at this comparison. It is absolutely staggering. You've got speed going from 6 to 8 weeks down to 20 minutes. The cost plummets from over $20,000 to just $2,000. The scale goes from a handful of interviews to basically unlimited. And consistency, it goes from being all over the place to a reliable 85% accuracy. The orders of magnitude here are just on a completely different planet. Let's just let that sink in for a second. 20 minutes. We are talking about getting answers that used to take months in less time than it takes to watch a sitcom. And the cost? It's just a tiny fraction of what a traditional research project would cost. What used to be a major line item on the budget now becomes something you can do on a whim. All while giving you the power of over 100 deep, qualitative interviews. That's a sample size that would have been outrageously expensive and time-consuming with the old methods. And on top of all that, it's done with a level of behavioral consistency that honestly, manual human-led research often struggles to even match. So you're getting the speed, the savings, the scale, and the reliability. So, after seeing all of this, what was the CMO's final verdict? It wasn't, let me think about it. It wasn't, send me a proposal. It was simply, when can we start the next project? That, right there, is the sound of that education barrier completely vanishing. And this brings us to a final, and I think really provocative thought. For decades, the hardest part of business strategy was just getting good answers to your questions. But if AI can now deliver those answers almost instantly, the game completely changes. The most important skill isn't finding the answers anymore. It's asking the right questions. So, what will you ask?